Welcome back, students. So now we will continue with the belt drives. As you know, in the previous session we have already finished with gear drives, which are the different types of gears, then gear trains, and after that we also studied about velocity ratios and also solved a couple of problems on velocity ratios in the case of gear trains. Okay, so now moving on, we will continue with belt drives, which is also another means of transmitting power. Okay, so where do we usually go for belt drives? So when the distance between the driving pulley and the driven pulley is more. So usually we go for gear drives when the distance between the power transmission between the driver and the driven is very less, then we will go for gears. Usually when the distance is more, we prefer belt drives. Okay, so as in the case of gears, we have one gear and the second gear which will be meshing with each other. In case of belt drives, there will be one pulley which is called as driving pulley, which is actually connected to the motor or the engine through which it is turning, and the driven pulley will be far, and the pulley will be having a belt over it. So it is the belt that is carrying the torque and the speed to the driven pulley. Okay, so we'll just go through the definition. So belts or ropes are used to transmit power from one shaft to another shaft by means of pulleys, which can rotate at same speeds or at different speeds. So that means it depends on the size of the pulley. The diameter of the pulley is bigger and the driven pulley is smaller, then the speed will vary. If you have both diameters same, driving pulley and driven pulley are having same diameters, then the speed will also be same, right? So it depends on the diameter of the pulley, and the belt is passing over the pulleys, both these pulleys, thereby transmitting power. Okay, so you would have seen this belt drives in most of the cases. It is used in generators. If you have seen, not the modern day generators, you would have seen this in olden generators. If you see, there will be a belt that is connected through which the power will be transmitted from one end to the other, right? So other than that, you would have also seen this in the sieving machines, that is the machine that is used for stitching, right? You would have seen that there is a wheel on the side where the tailors have, and there is a rope that is connected, a rope or generally a belt that is connected to the bottom, which will make the wheel rotate, isn't it? So that is an example for belt drive. It is also used in automobiles, in most of the engines, in inner parts of the engine, which I'm not sure whether you opened it and seen, but if you open that, you would generally see a belt which is connected in certain portion of the engines. Okay, so these are some, I'm giving you all this kind of explanation so that you get that picture, or you start imagining and get that picture in the mind. Okay, this is what belt drive is. So now you might have an idea when I say what belt is, right? So it's usually having two pulleys connected through a belt, which is transmitting the power. Okay, so the amount of power transmitted will depend upon the following factors. That is, the power transmission from one pulley to another pulley will be depending upon these factors which I'm going to discuss. First one is the velocity of the belt, the velocity at which the belt can travel. Second one, the tension under which the belt is placed on the pulleys. So tension is nothing but a force on how tight the belt is being placed on the pulley. So how effectively it can transmit power. Anyways, we'll see this tensions in belt in the later stage. I will not explain it right now. Next one, again, arc of contact between the belt and the pulley. So this is another important point, arc of contact. Anyways, we will have to do a couple of derivations on this in the later stage. So I'll again explain what exactly you mean by arc of contact and all those things. So these are some of the factors which are actually affecting the power transmitted in the belt. Okay, last one, the conditions under which the belt is used. So it can be environmental conditions or any physical conditions at which the belt is being used. So all these factors will determine the amount of power that is transmitted in case of belt. Okay, so next one, selection of the belt drive. So previous case, the factors that are affecting the power transmission. In this case, what you are saying is criteria to select a particular belt. What are the things to be considered while you are selecting the belt? So first one is speed of the driving shaft and the driven shaft. What should be the speed of driving shaft and what should be the speed of the driven shaft? Based on that speeds we need to consider. Second one, speed reduction ratio. So what should be the variation in speed required? As I told you, the speed can be different from input as well as output depending upon the size of the pulley. So if the power requirement is so and so, how to select a belt? Power to be transmitted. How much power is to be transmitted? Next one, center distance between the shafts. That is from the driving pulley to the driven pulley. If you take the center of the driver and center of the driven, that point center to center distance is called as center distance between the shafts. Okay, so how far the pulleys are, driver and the driven pulley. Next one, positive drive requirements, then shafts layout, space, how much space is available, and other service conditions. So see, these are the criteria that we need to consider for selecting a belt drive. Okay. Next one is type of belt drives. So depending upon the speeds at which the belts are used or the power is transmitted, the belt drives are classified into three types. They are called light drives, medium drives and heavy drives. So what do you mean by light drives? So light drives means these are used to transmit power at a speed about 10 meters per second. So you can see the power transmission speeds are about 10 meters per second, and it is generally used in agricultural machines and some smaller machine tools. Okay, so where the speed is generally less, then we are using something called as light drives. Second one is medium drives. So these are used to transmit powers with the belt speeds over 10 meters per second but within 22 meters per second. That means the speed is slightly higher than the first case, but it will be between 10 meters per second to 22 meters per second, and they are most commonly used in machine tools, that is in all machinery parts. Not machinery parts, in the machines. Third one, heavy drives. So these are used to transmit large power at belt speeds greater than 22 meters per second. So these are considered as high speed machines in which the belt drives are used. So usually used in machinery like compressors and generators, where the speeds are usually high. Okay, so these are the types of belt drives that is used. Okay, next one is based on the shape of belt. Belts are again classified based on the different shapes. So there are three major shapes of the belt. First one is called as flat belt, second one is called as V belt, and third one is called as circular belt, or we call it as rope. Okay, so you can see the sketch here. So first one is a flat belt. So this will be the part of the pulley, and this is just a representation though. So this will be the thickness of the belt. So we are talking about the cross section of the belt here. So if you see the flat belt drive, it will generally have a rectangular cross section, rectangular or square cross section. Okay, so they will have uniform thickness throughout from top to bottom, and they will be having either rectangular or square section. Okay, this is the most common type of belt that is used. Okay, so second one what we have is called as V belt. So in case of V belt, as you could see in the sketch here, their cross section will be usually having a tapered section here on either side. It will not have a complete rectangular or a square section. The belts will have taper in the side like a V. That's why it is called as V belt. Now the why V belt are used? V belts are specifically used for transmitting more power. Okay, so they are having more power transmission capability compared to that of flat belt drives, and there won't be much of slip also. In compared to flat belt drive, if you see, V belt will have more efficiency. Alright. Third one is called as circular belt, or what we call as rope. So rope is also very common means. You would have seen this, isn't it? Usually in the case of wells, you have a pulley on the top and you connect a rope to lift water from lower level to higher level. So that is called a circular belt or rope generally. Okay, so there are three types of shapes we have: flat belt, V belt and circular belt. So these are the three different types. Okay, in case in the exam if they ask this question, you can just draw these sketches and explain what do you mean by flat belt, what do you mean by V belt, and what do you mean by circular belt. Okay, so next we will have to consider the materials used for belt. So if you generally remember which is the most common material that we use for belt, if you remember seeing this belts anywhere, so most commonly used is either leather or rubber. Okay, so most the different other various materials that are used for belts are leather belts, as I told you. Second one, it can be cotton or any fabric belts. Okay, cotton belts or any fabric belts. Third one, as I told you, rubber belts. And fourth one, there's one more material which are usually used for making belts, that is called as bellata. Okay, it's also a form of rubber only, bellata belts. Okay, so four materials are used in case of making these belts. Okay, so this is now important. Types of belt drives, types of flat belt drives. So there are two types of belt drives, flat belt drives. One it is called as open belt drive, and other one is called as crossed belt drive, or it is also called as twist belt drive. Okay, so open belt drive and cross belt drive, there are two derivations to be studied where you have to find the length of the belt. Okay, so this derivation is to find the length of the belt. For example, if you know that there is a pulley over here and the driven pulley is at certain distance, and the power has to be transmitted from this pulley to the other one, then what should be the total length of the belt that is required? Okay, the length of the belt should be very accurately calculated. It cannot be too loose or it cannot be too tight, right? So you should know what is the exact amount of length that is required to complete that belt drive. Okay, so that derivations you have to do. So if in case of open belt system, what should be the length, and in case of cross belt drive, what should be the length? So we have to get a formula based on the distance between the center distance between the belts, pulleys, and also the diameter of the pulleys. Based on that, you have to find out the length. So that is what we have to do in the case of open belt drive as well as cross belt drive. Okay, open belt drive. So before starting with the derivation for the length of belt, I just want to tell you what do you mean by open belt drive. Okay, so open belt drive, as we can see in the sketch here. Okay, so you have two pulleys. For example, you have one larger pulley and then you have one smaller pulley. Okay, this is just a representation, one larger pulley and one smaller pulley, and they are separated by a distance that is x. So now open belt drives are used for transmitting power in the same direction. That is the major difference you need to know between open belt drive and cross belt drive. Okay, so you have one belt drive where the power has to be transmitted from one point to another in the same direction. So you can see here, if I consider this one as the driver, so let's say this is rotating at clockwise direction. That means the belt, this is the pulley. So belt, you can see the belt which is passing through this point and coming till here like this. So when this particular pulley rotates, it will also transfer the belt, transmit the power from the belt, and it will make this one to rotate, isn't it? This is how the power is being transmitted. So this is connected to the engine or the motor where this particular thing will be rotating at certain high speed. So the belt will be running over it, and since it is connected to this part, it will make this particular pulley also rotate. So you can see, observe here, in case of an open belt drive, it is connected between two parallel shafts at certain distance, and the power is transmitted in the same direction. That is very important. Okay, so and in case of cross belt drive, what will happen? In case of cross belt drive, if you want it to transmit power in the opposite direction. You are having power rotation in clockwise direction for the driver, but your requirement is that for driven it should be in anti-clockwise direction. So in such cases, if you connect it like this, like as an open belt drive, it is not possible, isn't it? Because it will transfer in the same direction, if we can see. If you want it to be done in the opposite direction, then you will have to connect the belt as a cross belt drive. So I'll just show you the sketch for cross belt drive. Okay, so this is how a cross belt drive is connected. So you can see everything is same here. There is a pulley on the one side, there's certain distance, and then you have the driven pulley there. The same belt is also there, right? But you can see how the belt is being connected. So it is going till here, but it is not going and connecting straight. Then if you connect it like this, it becomes an open belt drive. So in this case, you can see this part will go below and it will come like this. It's a cross there, right? In open belt drive, what will happen? It will go straight. From here it will come and it will come from the bottom. But here the top portion will go to the bottom side, take a round, and from here it will come here. So now what will happen in this case? If I give a clockwise rotation for the driver, then the smaller pulley will rotate in anti-clockwise direction. Got it? So this is a basic difference between an open belt drive and cross belt drive. Rest everything remains the same. There's no much difference at all. Only thing is that if you want to give it in the same direction, you will connect it to an open belt drive. If you want to the pulleys to rotate in the opposite direction, you will connect it to cross belt drive. Okay. So now what we have to study in this cases, open belt drive and cross belt drive, we have to study what is the length required to connect an open belt drive and cross belt drive. Okay. So let's go to the derivation. That is, first we will go to the open belt drive. Okay, so open belt drive. So we have to find the overall length of this particular belt. So for that, I just want you to concentrate on this particular drawing right now. So you can see you have a larger pulley here and smaller pulley on the right side, right? So if I want to find the length of the belt, I need to get expression for the total length by calculating the total length here. So let's take this part of the drawing right now. So if you see, there's a line drawn from here, right, where A, that is a point where belt is coming in contact with the pulley. Till here it is not in contact. So A is the point where the belt is just coming in contact. So if I want to know the length from here, if I consider starting point is here, then A to B, B to C, it is connected, right? So this part, whatever is there, right, A, B, C, that length I can consider A to B, B to C. So this is the point where it is starting to leave the pulley. So till here it is in contact, right? So this one, ABC, is called as arc of contact. If you remember, I told you that I'll come to this point later when I told you depends on the arc of contact, one of the criteria for selecting belts, isn't it? So if you see here, A, B, C, this is an arc of contact between belt and the pulley, A, B, C. All right. But if I want to get the total length, again I'm just telling you, so if I start from here, I can take the arc length as ABC plus length C to D. So D is the point where the belt is coming in contact with the second pulley. So I can say the length of the belt is ABC plus CD plus this is the arc of contact for the smaller pulley. So arc length DEF plus FA. That is the total length of the belt. I hope it's clear, right? I don't have to explain it again. So I'm just telling you again, let me take that the starting point is A, then arc length ABC, that much part of the belt, plus CD length, plus DEF, that is arc of contact of the smaller pulley, plus FA. If I can find an expression for each of these parts and then add it together, then I can get an expression for the length of the belt. Got it? So what am I supposed to do? I need to somehow find out a relation between ABC, C to D, D, E and F, and F and A. And then add it up and get into a final expression. Okay. So now to begin with this, let us just tell you what are the things. So let us, as it says here, let the two pulleys be P and Q. One is larger, one is smaller. Be connected to an open belt drive as shown in the figure. From the center C2 of the smaller pulley. Okay, that will come to that later part. So first I'll try to explain what are the things that is there in this. Let us consider R1 being the radius of the larger pulley. Okay, R1 is the radius of the larger pulley. R2 be the radius of the smaller pulley. So larger pulley is this one, isn't it? So this one. So let me take this radius as R1 and let me take this smaller radius as R2. And as I told you, the center distance means distance from the center of this pulley to center of this pulley. So let's take this distance between the center as X. Alright. So there are two pulleys, one larger pulley, one smaller pulley. I am taking the diameter of the radius of the larger pulley as R1, radius of the smaller pulley as R2, and also the distance from the center between the two pulleys I am taking that as X. This is required for our later stage because we cannot say always radius of this, radius of that. So R1 is the radius of the larger pulley, R2 is the radius of the smaller pulley, X is the distance between the center. Alright, now what we have to do is, you can see here, if I draw a line, okay, from the center, if I just draw a line, this particular distance is there, no? From this center to C. So till there arc is in contact, isn't it? Arc is in contact till there. It is not the center. So if I take the distance, if I want to calculate distance from B to C, then it will be this much plus this small distance. So I am taking this angle as phi, that is from this center to this point. Okay, same way here also it will be same. Whatever portion it is here, same portion it will be here also. So from here to here I am taking this angle as phi. Okay, now if you see, observe the sketch carefully here, you can see that if I take this from the center and if I take half of this only, I told you the entire length is arc length ABC plus CD plus DEF plus FA. Now if I only take this half, then arc length BC plus arc length CD plus arc length DE, isn't it? If I take only the half, don't you think the other part is also same, exactly same? Arc length BC, CD and DE will also be equal to EF plus FA plus AB. So what I will do is, I will just try to get this distance BC, CD and DE and multiply that by 2 so that I get the overall length. Okay. So as we proceed with this particular derivation, I understand it would have been much better if we could do it step by step in the classroom itself, but now we have to concentrate. You have to concentrate a little more and understand this part. Okay, so it is always better when we have an live session and I can draw this sketch and then immediately explain point by point, step by step solution. It would be easier. But anyways, this derivation is given in the notes what we have given to you. You can again go through that after going through this video. Alright, or you can just repeat this video a couple of times and see, so that if you were unable to follow it at once, okay, then try to solve this. It will definitely not be enough if you just listen to this. When simultaneously if you could draw this sketch and mention what is R1, what is R2, what is X, and whatever I am saying, whatever I am going to say, then if you solve it step by step, you will be able to understand this process easily. Okay. So anyways, I will just go through now step by step. Okay, so going into the next part, so from the geometry of the belt drive, as I told you, this I have explained it, that's why I explained it first itself, because if I just tell this point now and then go there, you may get confused. So now you already know, from the geometry of the belt, the length of the belt will be equal to what? It will be equal to arc length ABC. Okay, please recall what I said, explained that time. Arc length ABC plus length CD plus arc length DEF, that is arc of contact of the smaller pulley, plus length FA. Correct? That will be the total length of the belt, isn't it? So I'm just telling you the first point here. Total length of the belt will be equal to what? Arc length ABC plus length CD on the top side, then arc length DEF plus length FA. That is the total length of the belt. Okay, so I would suggest all of you to have your notes, whatever notes we have given to you, right? So you can refer the sketch and you can see the explanation here, so that will become easy for me, because otherwise every now and then I may have to change the slides previous to back. It's confusing. So I would request all of you to have the sketch in front of you, because it's already there in the notes, so you can see the sketch, and meanwhile when I explain, you will probably understand it much better. And of course I expect all of you to do this in your notebooks one more time, the derivation. Okay, so as I told you, the total length of the belt will be arc length ABC plus length CD plus arc length DEF plus FA. And second part, as I told you, now if instead of taking the overall length, if I consider it exactly from the center, the top and both are same. So if I could find half of that, then multiply that by 2, I would get the total length of the belt. So that's what is exactly written in the second line. So arc length BC, right, arc length BC plus arc length CD plus arc length DE, the whole into multiplied by 2 will give me the total length of the belt. Is that clear? I hope this is clear, isn't it? So arc length BC, length CD and arc length DE into 2 should give you the total length of the belt. Now our job is to find what do you mean by arc length BC. What I can write instead of arc length BC? What should be length CD, or what should be length arc length DE? I need to find a mathematical solution to these things. I can relate it. So if you refer to the sketch here, okay, I'll just go back. Okay, so if you could refer to the sketch here, the arc length BC, right, this arc length BC, if I take S is equal to R theta in mathematics, right, so this becomes S, so this becomes R, right, so this angle I want to find out, so this length if I want to find out, then that will be from here to here it is 90, right, from here to here it is 90, that is pi by 2 plus phi, isn't it? S is equal to R theta, that means this value is theta, so this will be pi by 2, 90 degree plus phi. So going back here, if you can see, I am writing the same thing. Arc length BC is equal to pi by 2 plus phi into R1, isn't it? So we are taking the trigonometry into consideration. Arc length BC will be equal to pi by 2 plus phi into radius. S is equal to R into theta. So R is nothing but R1 in this case, radius of the pulley, and theta is equal to pi by 2 plus phi. Okay, length CD I will keep it as it is. When you go to the right hand side, that is to the smaller pulley, again we are using the same concept. Okay, S is equal to R theta only, but there if you observe, the arc of contact will not start from left side, starts from the right. Okay, so I'll just go back again here. So if we can see this portion, if I could see this portion, I will have to deduct theta from there, because from the center if you observe, the line is over here, but the point of contact will happen from D. So I have already included length CD separately, so I need this DE only, right? So from here if you see, this distance is taken as phi, this is phi, so I don't want this phi because it starts from D, so the total is pi by 2, and this distance is 5. So it will be pi by 2 minus 5 into r2. Okay, so that's what I've written here. So pi by 2 minus 5 into r2. I hope that's clear. Okay, so when you consider the left hand side arc length BC, it is actually the total arc covered is pi by 2 and theta. On the right hand side it is pi by 2 minus 5 into r2. Okay, so now one more a thing that has been in the next line, if you see, it is same, 2 into pi by 2 plus 5 into r1 plus length CD is equal to GC2. Now what is GC2? It's a construction that we have done. Okay, GC2 is nothing but a line we have drawn parallel to CD from the center to this point. Okay, if you observe it, it's just done for us to get the value of the length GC2. So what is GC2? CD is projected to this point, and if I'm just drawing a line absolutely parallel to this, so this will be same, isn't it? GC2 will be equal to CD. So I am writing, instead of length CD, I am writing it as GC2. So 2 into pi by 2 plus 5 into R1 plus length GC2 plus pi by 2 minus 5 into R2. Next step, we are writing it as pi by 2 into 5 into R1 will remain as it is. Now I have to get the value for GC2. Now GC2, from the sketch, if you see, it forms a triangle there, and that will be equal to x cos phi, or in other words, we are taking the cos theta function there. So if you are taking the length GC2 from the triangle, okay, which is formed, it will become x cos phi. Okay, x is the center distance, cos theta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse, right? So I'm taking the same distance. Now GC2 will be what? X into cos phi. Okay, that's given over here. GC2 by x is equal to cos phi as per trigonometry. Cos theta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse. So that's why GC2 will become x into cos phi. Okay, then we are just rearranging that equation. Then when we simplify that, we get 2 into pi by 2 into r1 plus r2 plus 5 into r1 minus r2 plus x cos phi. So x cos phi will be as it is. We have just multiplied this term here. Pi by 2 into r1, we have pi by 2 into r2. So I am taking that together, pi by 2 into r1 plus r2. Similarly, I have 5 into r1 minus 5 into r2. So I am taking 5 into r1 minus r2. Okay, so 5 into r1 minus r2 and plus x cos phi. Now I am cancelling 2 here. So if you consider the next statement, this 2 and this 2 will cancel. So we will get pi into r1 plus r2. But 2 is only here. So when I am multiplying here, it becomes 2 pi into r1 minus r2. 2 into x cos phi will become plus 2x cos phi. Okay. Now continuing from there, we just got some expression here. This is not the end of the derivation. We have to continue from here. So again, if you see the triangle GC1 C2 in the sketch, I hope all of you are having the sketch with you and you are seeing that. So according to that, we have sin phi will be equal to r1 minus r2 by x. Okay, so phi is equal to sin inverse. So sin phi is r1 minus r2 by x. So phi will be equal to sin inverse of r1 minus r2 by x. But we are considering sin inverse of r1 minus r2 by x is equal to r1 minus r2 by x, considering that the value of phi is very small. So you know that when the angle is very, very small, so sin theta will be equal to theta. Okay, so we are taking r1 phi is equal, this is important, phi is equal to r1 minus r2 by x, because we need this value of phi to be substituted back in that equation what we got. Okay, so similarly we have cos phi is equal to 1 minus sin square phi, root of that, because cos square phi is equal to 1 minus sin square phi. So cos phi will be equal to 1 minus sin square phi to the power of half. That is again known. So if I expand this 1 minus sine square phi, so that will be by binomial theorem. If I expand this, it becomes 1 minus half into sine square phi, and it will continue plus minus so on, but we are neglecting the higher order value because that becomes very close to 0. So we can neglect those terms and we can just keep it as cos phi is equal to 1 minus half sine square phi. These values are important. One is phi is equal to r1 minus r2 by x. Next is cos phi is equal to 1 minus half sine square phi. Okay. Now you have to see again here 1 minus half as it is. So we are taking the value of phi, that is r1 minus r2 by x. So again, as remembering this concept again, we will take this sin phi as equal to phi only, considering it as small. So phi will be equal to r1 minus r2 by x square. Okay, so you need to remember these things. Cos phi is equal to 1 minus 2 r1 minus r2 by x the whole square. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to substitute the values of 2 and 3, that is value of 5, phi and value of cos phi in equation 1. This is our equation 1 what we have got here. Got it? So we are not going to touch these things. We have value of phi we have got value of cos phi. So we are just substituting the value of phi and cos phi in the equation, in the value whatever we got in this particular equation. So what is phi? Phi is r1 minus r2 by x, right? And cos phi. So we are just taking those two equations. So now if I replace with that particular equation, I will get, first part will remain as it is, pi into r1 plus r2 plus it was 2 into phi. So instead of phi, I am replacing the value as r1 minus r2 by x into r1 minus r2. That was the equation. 2 phi r1 minus r2 was there. So instead of phi, I am replacing it. You can see here, I am just replacing the value of phi here. First one I have kept it as it is, plus 2 into r1 minus r2 as it is. Phi I will replace it by r1 minus r2 by x, plus 2 into x cos phi. Now I have to replace the same in the case of cos phi. So 2x will be as it is. In place of cos phi, I am writing it as 1 minus r1 minus r square divided by 2x square. Okay, so I am just using this formula and putting it here. So this is r1 minus r2 square divided by 2x square, because we have this whole square, right? So I have taken r1 minus r2 square and x square multiplied by 2 becomes 2x square. Okay, now if we simplify this, in the next line we get it as pi into r1 plus r2 as it is. So we have r1 minus r2, again r1 minus r2, so that will become plus 2 into r1 minus r2 square by x plus 2x as it is. We are multiplying that, so 2x into 1 is 2x. So minus, when you take 2x, 2x will get cancelled here, 2 and 2 will get cancelled here, 1x and x square gets cancelled here. So what is left out is r1 minus r2 square by x. So if I am just rearranging that and writing the final expression, it will be L is equal to pi into r1 minus r2 plus 2x is as it is. Here we have 2 into r1 minus r2 square by x. Here we have r1 minus r2 square by x. So 2 into this one and minus this one, 1 will cancel. So what is left out is r1 minus r2 square by x. Okay, so I'm sure this is not the most best way for me to explain this particular derivation here. I really wish I could have solved this in the classroom, but I want all of you to please go through this, whatever I have explained, and you draw it in this notebook, draw this sketch, and please go step by step and get this final expression. And this is an important expression, either open belt drive or cross belt drive. Generally they may ask in the examination, so you should know the derivation as well as the final expression. And final expression is again important because you will have problems based on this final expression. Okay, so you will be given a question where they may give you the radius of the larger pulley and smaller pulley, and they may ask you to find the length of the belt, or they may give you length of the belt and give some unknowns. but you will need this expression to get the answer. Alright? So please make sure that you go through this derivation and study it properly. Okay, so next you have cross belt drive. So I've already explained to you what do you mean by cross belt drive, right? So cross belt drive is usually used to get the direction opposite to that of the driver. So if the driver pulley is rotating at clockwise direction, then you want anti-clockwise direction in the driven pulley, then you will go for cross belt drive. And you can see the belt how it is being connected. So now what I am going to do is I am going to give you this as an assignment. Okay, there is a derivation for this cross belt drive also. Okay, you will have to find the expression of overall length of the cross belt drive, which is absolutely in line with the open belt drive. So open belt drive derivation I have done already. So I want you to do the cross belt drive derivation and submit to me. So that will be your assignment for the day. Okay, so I'll just go through this anyhow. Okay, but this is what you have to do it and submit it. So you have to draw the sketch first, explain all those things. Nothing is changed. If you have gone through, if you have heard the explanation very clearly with respect to open belt drive, this is almost the same. Even the final expression, there is only one small change in the final expression that you are going to get. Alright, so this is the larger pulley and it is having radius R1. This is the smaller pulley, it is having radius R2. The distance between the center will remain same, x. So you have to take the total arc length, that is arc length ABC plus arc length CD plus arc length DEF plus arc length FA. So again you are only going to take the half portion of that, assuming that the remaining portion will be same, and you will get the final expression. You can see the angle is taken as phi, center distance C1 to C2 is x, everything is the same, right? But the length will not be same here, length will vary, because you can see it is going cross, isn't it, the overall length. So you need to know what exactly is the length of the belt that you need to get. So anyways, if you just go through this, P and Q are connected by a cross belt as shown in the figure. C2 is the center of the smaller pulley. Again the same concept, you are drawing C2G line parallel to CD so that you can get the value of that in terms of x and theta, x and phi, sorry. So same way, R is the radius of the smaller pulley, R1 is the radius of the larger pulley, R2 is the radius of the smaller pulley, x is the distance between the center. And then the similar kind of a derivation you can see here. I am not going into the derivation because I am giving this as an assignment. So you can see first part will remain the same, arc length ABC plus arc length CD plus DEF plus FA. So we are taking only the half portion of that. Based on that only you are taking pi by 2 plus r length CD. And this case, one small change, if you could see, observe here, this is what I wanted to say. In open belt drive, I have told you that for the smaller pulley, when you are considering the arc length, it was pi by 2 minus phi. But in this case, it is not pi by 2 minus phi, it is also pi by 2 plus phi only. Because if you see the sketch, you would realize that, because here if you see, the arc of contact, that will be here, right? So phi will come in case of open belt drive. In case of open belt drive, the belt was coming here and touching here after the point. But here if you observe, the belt is coming in contact before itself at this point F. So when you are taking the arc length EF, it should be pi by 2 plus phi. Okay, that is one change in the entire derivation you need to know. In open belt drive, since the arc was coming and it was passing through like this, the F point would have been here. So when you take this is pi by 2 minus phi, in this case, since it is cross belt drive going like this, so the arc of contact would touch before itself. So that means this total arc will be what? Pi by 2 plus phi. So in both cases it is pi by 2 plus phi, pi by 2 plus phi. That is the only change you have to note. And based on that derivation, you will have to do this under the same lines you will have to do. And then the final expression, if you observe, what is the change in the final expression? Pi into R1 plus R2 plus R1 plus R2 square divided by x. In case of an open belt drive, it was R1 minus R2 square by x plus 2x. So pi into r1 plus r2 is same, plus 2x is same. In between you will have r1 plus r2 square. There it was r1 minus r2 square. So that will be the change. So I hope all of you will do this part and submit it by evening. Okay, so this is your assignment, derivation of length of belt for length for cross belt drive. Okay, so we will continue. There's still a lot of portions left in this, in belt drives. So we have only finished the derivations for open belt drive and cross belt drive.